English idiots hold outside barbecue when meant to be on isolation. I tell you what, you could replace the word idiots with a 5-letter word, starts with C, ends with S. This is ridiculous. We are a United fan channel, but we are a human race and we must stop this. All I can say is that we're going to be talking about transfer news, big stuff about Bellingham and Sancho, a little bit about Pogba and Mourinho as well. But let me just say this. The reason we're self-isolating is if somebody in your family or household gets this, whether it's a relative, a partner, a friend, a child, and they get it badly, they will go into isolation for weeks. You won't see them. They will be scared. You will be scared. And it will be too late when that happens. This is why we're self-isolating. It's very, very, very serious. And this is why keep washing your hands, keep away from people as much as you can, and let's get through this. Those idiots out holding out barbecues or meeting up for drinks and everything like that, it really is like playing football with a wasp nest. You're going to get stung and somebody's going to react to that sting badly and they might die. So look, stop being selfish and start being sensible. Right, let's get into this. Manchester United news, and there is quite a lot to come in from. Look, in relation to Sancho and hashtag Jude Bellingham, this is quite an interesting development. This is coming from Michael Zorg, who sounds like a villain from Superman, classic Superman 80s film, Zorg. He's come out and said that the situation is this, that with the worldwide situation at the moment, effectively, transfer business is on the back burner, and it may be on the back burner for a lot of clubs, but this has been seen by some of the press that this gives Manchester United a free run at Jude Bellingham because Dortmund are no longer looking to do deals because they don't know what the future is. It's a little bit different for Dortmund because I would imagine Dortmund revenues are very different to Manchester United revenues, although we have got the Glazers who take money out of the club, so they might be quite similar. However, it is interesting because does that give United a free run at Bellingham, or does it not give them a free run at Bellingham? And what does it mean with Sancho? And I think much of this transfer window will come down to the appetite of a player to go and the appetite of a club to still do a deal. Dortmund might just say, we're not doing any signings, we don't know when the season's coming back, we don't know when next season's going to start, how does that impact on money that we might want to spend, we'll just sit where we are. Manchester United might go, you know what, this is an opportunity to sign Jude Bellingham, this is an opportunity to get in and get Jadon Sancho. Now, if Sancho and Bellingham are really adamant that they need to go, then these things can happen. I just think we're on a very uneven surface with the transfer window. I mentioned this 2 or 3 weeks ago. We were talking about this on this channel 2 or 3 weeks ago before anybody else was really, saying that this people talking about football back, there may not be a summer transfer window. There may not be a summer transfer window. The FIFA, UEFA, everyone might just say, you know what, it's such a mess. Everybody just stay as they are, and that might be the scenario. But then that probably won't happen because then you're restricting freedom of movement and forcing a scenario where there will be footballers, and I'm not saying Sancho and Bellingham because I'm sure they're not, but there will be footballers out there at many different levels who want to leave their club and would say you're forcing me to stay, which breaches my human rights. So there's all sorts of issues to go on. Interestingly, on Bellingham, if you look at his Twitter profile, our United Stands Twitter account tweeted it this morning. He doesn't follow Manchester United, but he follows Dortmund, and I think he follows Man City as well. So, read into that what you would like. But I would love United to get hold of Bellingham. 16 years of age, over 30 games in the Championship. He's clearly a talent for the future. I would like United to get hold of him, and if Dortmund don't fancy walking into the transfer market, then maybe it does give us a clear run at him. He's one for the future, but he's also potentially one for the now because he is playing in the Championship. I think with Sancho, the interesting thing is that there's a Chelsea source this morning. A lot of Chelsea fans feel that Sancho will go to Chelsea. A lot of Chelsea fans feel that if we don't get Champions League football and they do, he'll go to Chelsea. I wouldn't disagree with that. I've always said that. And they're basically saying, look, United might have been working on a deal, but it's not been agreed with Dortmund yet. They still feel they're very much in the race, especially because United will be playing Europa League football next year. Look, we can all do a bit of banter, and that's absolutely fine. But I do think that United will win this race if there is a deal to be done with Dortmund and we can afford that deal and we do get Champions League football. And they are big ifs. But if that if comes true, can the Premier League stand the heat that is about to be inflicted on them next season when you've got Martial, Rashford, Sancho, Greenwood, and maybe an Ighalo, maybe a Werner? I mean, that is a pretty lethal front. I mean, Martial, Rashford, Sancho, it's just name me a better three on their day. And yeah, Firmino, Salah and Mane are good. And Man City have got a good front three, but I don't think anyone else in the league gets close. Chelsea's front three, nah. Spurs front three, no, not really. Arsenal's front three, no. It would be a very exciting front three, but it's got to deliver, of course. It's got to deliver. That's what we need. Also on Pogba, a story coming out today, which I think it's been quoted from the Daily Star, and I wouldn't normally mention that because I don't think the Daily Star have ever had a world first, but it does. Actually, it did make me think, because actually I think this may be the situation. I think Mino Raiola is basically, what they're saying is that Pogba and Mino Raiola are at loggerheads. They're not agreeing on what Pogba's future is. I don't think they're at loggerheads because they're very good friends, but I think they probably are in conversation about what's going to happen. I think there's three factors to this. The first one is that maybe Pogba will sign a new contract because he's realised that he can't get the move he wants, so he's got to paper the cracks and turn things around at United. That won't please some of you. It won't. It will please some of you. For me, I like Pogba. I just don't like what he's done with his agent, and it does leave a bad taste in the mouth. But a good Paul Pogba makes Manchester United a better side. That's one scenario, that he signs a new contract. The other scenario is that Mino Raiola says, or Pogba says, I still want the move. We're going to try and sort a move out in this mess that is the current football world. How do we get a move? Will anybody actually give us any money? Will United sell us at a reasonable price? That could be a scenario. And remember, amongst all this, there is still the scenario where a player can force a move. I would not like to be that player in this new world that when football comes back says, I want to move, I want to get out, because we've all been through a lot globally, and I don't think that would be looked on by anybody in a positive way if a player went, I'm forcing a move. I don't think Pogba would do that because he had the opportunity last summer and he didn't. But a move could still happen. Pogba and Raiola could still do that. The third option is that Pogba says, I think I want to stay. Raiola says, I'll sit down and sort a new contract. And Solskjaer says, I don't want him. He's not part of what I want. And that option, although I'm not sure I want it, I think it would please a lot of United fans if Solskjaer said, I don't want Pogba at this club anymore. Let's sell him. Let's see what we can get for him. And let's bring in other players to build the future that I want. Because when I look at Rashford, Martial, Bruno and everybody else, I see a team I can build without that player who comes in and automatically, because of the media and everything, becomes the focal point of the team. Not necessarily Pogba's fault. Some would say maybe it is Pogba's fault. He does become the focal point of the team. But the reality is, Ollie could look at it and go, look, I'm not blaming you, Paul. It's a media thing. You know, you become the focal point of the team, whether it's positive or negative. I don't want that. I'm building something new. It's time to go. So Pogba could decide to stay. Pogba could decide to go. Ollie could decide to let him go. So they're the three scenarios, and pick your choice out of those three at the end of the day. Joshua Buhi, I've probably got his second name wrong, I always do. Youth player at Manchester United, basically another one to come out and say that Mourinho basically restricted his and Gomez and Greenwood's chances when he was at the club. He's not the first player to do this. A few youth players have done this now, and I think it's true. And I just saw it there. I thought, you know what, something a little bit off the transfers and a little bit off topical. I think Jose Mourinho did a lot of damage to Manchester United, and I know that there's Mourinho fans out there, and I know that some people back at Christmas were saying, let's take Mourinho as manager over Ollie because Ollie's awful. But I don't ever want Mourinho back at United, and I never ever have. He was not the right man. It was Mourinho United, not Manchester United. And the reality is, he did not develop youth. He didn't develop youth. I mean, McTominay, he had a bit of an obsession with him. He gave him Player of the Year, whatever. But in relation to flair talent, I think he suppressed Martial and Rashford, and he certainly suppressed youth players. And I think that's very interesting, again, that another youth player's come out of it and said basically there was no clear path to the first team, whereas now you can see that there is. And, we knew that with Mourinho. And Mourinho even got his silly list out, didn't he, about young players that he's given a chance to, and most of them were just half an hour in a Carabao Cup game. So, it is somewhat interesting that is the case. But also something that we'll probably pick up on the show tonight is that in relation to football, there is still things ongoing all the time. The players, I mentioned this as well, the Players Association, Professional Footballers Association, have expressed their concerns at football coming back behind closed doors. There was a headline in one of the papers, I think last night, maybe it was online, saying that footballers would resist coming back and playing behind closed doors because of safety issues, the resources that would be taken away from hospitals, etc., to do that, and also that they want fans in the ground. I get that, and I think at this point that's the message that needs to go out. We've not even been on lockdown for a week, and no football's meant to be being played till the end of April, which is over a month away. I think these things will change over the weeks and coming ahead. I think there will be a sport that comes back behind closed doors, maybe not football. And I think when that starts to happen and the popularity... I mean, the reality is, I was saying this before, if you got darts on the telly behind closed doors, which is a single person sport, loads of people would watch it on Sky Sports or whatever. They would. So, and it would also be good for people's mental health to see live sport. So I think, for me, these conversations are irrelevant at the moment. No, that's wrong. They're very relevant because they're absolutely expressing the safety concerns that are very real at the moment. But I think in a month or 6 weeks' times, we'll hopefully be in a different situation. We'll hopefully be able to see an impact to what we're doing, and we'll hopefully be able to have these conversations. But that's just an update on where we are at the moment. Anyway, get your comments in below about Sancho, Bellingham, Pogba, and maybe the Mourinho one as well. Anything else? Comments in below, smash a like and subscribe. And remember, we're slightly early with our show today because at 1 o'clock we are live, me and DT live on the United Stand, taking your questions, but also some of the questions we've got. We'll also be doing a poll, a VAR reassessment of Goldbridge DT on the pitch. Should I have got a red card? Should we both have got a red card? Was it right that we got yellow cards? We'll be running that in slow play for you to have a look at and taking your questions. A bit of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. 1 o'clock today on the United Stand. Don't miss it. Goldbridge and DT on the United Stand live at 1 o'clock. I'll speak to you then. Thanks everyone for watching.